I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down? He should calm down.
I saw he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber!
Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man.
Are you kidding?
No, you won the fight.
OMG, I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Obviously, going to be talking Usyk versus Chaz Witherspoon, Dimitri Bivol on the card, Josh Warrington fought on ESPN Plus, and plus anything else in the boxing world. So hit the like button, share the show, and all that fun stuff. Call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. And actually, because we brought in a new co-host, we have a 3-man panel, and I feel like this is going to be more of a regular thing going forward. Not a full panel. RIP Fu, not really dead, but just MIA. But Robbie Hearns, a.k.a. second cousin twice removed of Sir Eddie. Rob, how are you? How was the family's event in Chicago?
Yeah, I spoke to Eddie, obviously. It went well. No, it was all right. But yeah, I'm good. Glad to be back. Had a quiet news period, I guess, over the last week or so. We didn't really get too much work done. But, I listened into Gary making his debut. All good. Rave reviews. I think, pulled in another couple of views maybe. But yeah, obviously Gary was out in Chicago. So let's go over to Gary here.
Gary, what's up? How was Chicago? You were there in attendance, man. How was the fight? You have to unmute yourself there. You muted. There you go.
Technology is hard at my age.
It happens, yes.
This is going to be a good show. I got good feelings about today's show. We got the whole tribe here. We're going to have some fun today.
Plus, we have the whole Haney Tanajara topic, Mario Barrios. We know Gary's going to go off about those two. I cannot wait to get those two topics. But first, obviously, the marquee fight of the weekend was Oleksandr Usyk defeating Chaz Witherspoon via the 7th round technical stoppage. And I think, obviously, the narrative coming out of it is more of a negative narrative about Oleksandr Usyk and its heavyweight debut. I mean, the title of the show, disappointing. I think that's probably the best way to phrase it. I think a lot of us were expecting great things from Usyk because he dominated Gassiev in such a, one-sided fashion. Sort of not really dominated Bellew because Bellew had some really good success early in the fight, but definitely knocked him out in a knockout of the year contender fashion. Then moving up to heavyweight, he takes almost a year off, right, or up to a year off, I think, from the Tony Bellew fight, and loses momentum. Has injury replacements for his fighters, or replacements period. First it was Takam to Tyron Spong, then Spong to Chaz Witherspoon. And it seems like the hype for the fight died down significantly, just the hype for Usyk overall. And then on top of it, again, Usyk sort of looked flat in his performance. Was eating right hands a little bit too often to a guy that really shouldn't probably have been touching him that much when other guys who were far better weren't. And I don't know if that's chalking it up to the year layoff, moving up in heavyweight, the combination of those two things, the amount of opponent shifting and changing that went on. But clearly, it was not a A-plus night for Oleksandr Usyk. Rob, your thoughts on Usyk's performance and, again, sort of not the sort of negative narrative around Usyk's heavyweight run at this point in time.
Yeah, I get it, but I also not like blown away by his performance, but I thought he'd done fine. I think he always eases himself into a fight, kind of Lomachenko style. He'll take a look, kind of compute things, pick up on any little towels and feints and that, and then he gradually goes through the gears. And I think when he exploded into his combinations, I thought he looked real good. And maybe I saw a bunch of people saying like, "Oh, he can't even hurt Chaz Witherspoon. What's he going to do to Wilder? Or how does he think he's going to beat Wilder? If Wilder touches this guy, he's out." And then people are like, "Well, that isn't that true of any heavyweight? If Wilder hits them, kind of thing." So, for me, I think, like you say, a lot of the wind went out the sails off the back of the Bellew knockout, and then the kind of hype about, oh, he's coming back, he's coming to heavyweight. Takam, that's a good opponent. I like this fight. This is really good. Then he got the injury. Then Takam went off and signed with ESPN. Then we're getting Tyrone Spong. And then it was this week when Witherspoon stepped in. People say, "Oh, damn, I was really looking forward to Tyrone Spong fight." And it's like, were you? Were you though? Or is it now it's been downgraded to Witherspoon? Suddenly Spong looks like a legit like contender. And this was a great fight. And we've been robbed of that because of Spong testing positive and stuff. So I think with it being Witherspoon, but look, I mean, Gary was there. He'll obviously tell us about it. But there was, I believe, just over 9,000 there. Seemed a hell of a bunch of Ukrainians. It seemed to have real good support there. They turned out for him, and I wasn't like disappointed in Usyk. I wasn't expecting him to one punch knock out Witherspoon, even though it was Chaz Witherspoon, as air quotes or whatever, like Chaz Witherspoon or whoever, whatever. But I think he just turned it up, went through the gears. Yeah, he got caught a little bit. I've seen Bellew catch Usyk. He seems to take shots pretty well. And yeah, I thought it was okay. But I just think it's the opponent change, the layoff, and everything that's kind of added this to. If this was off the back of the Bellew, like a few months later off of Bellew, I don't think it would have been quite as, because people would be fresh into having seen Usyk and what he does, because he was losing rounds to Bellew and then he turned it up, and eventually overwhelmed, and he made Bellew work that much more that he couldn't. It took the wind out of Bellew, and then he was there for the taking and he got knocked out. Look, Witherspoon not conditioned enough to even come out in the 7th round or whatever it was, so in the 8th. So I wasn't like disappointed in Usyk, but yeah, not massively blown away either. But I thought it was fine.
Before we jump to Gary, I just want to make a quick point. My personal take on the fight is that offensively, there's no real issue with what Usyk did, because, like you said, he's not really the power puncher, traditionally speaking. He is a guy that like, sort of works himself into a fight. But defensively, I thought we saw a sloppy performance from Usyk, and that is uncharacteristic of him. I want to make that distinction. I agree with you offensively. Like, why were people expecting a first round knockout? That's not him. Plus, he's moving up in weight for the first time. Like, that shouldn't be expected. But the defensive lapses he committed in this fight were frequent, and that is something I think people were not expecting. But Gary, you obviously were in attendance. How was the atmosphere for the fight? And again, your thoughts on the performance of Oleksandr Usyk, and did it impress you? Did it disappoint you? Thoughts?
Well, I think if I answer the first question, it'll help explain maybe the bias in the second question, because the atmosphere was amazing. It was as if he was fighting in his home. Like the crowd, I would have guessed about 10,000. Rob said it was just a little over 9, which the place held 10,800, right, for basketball. So let's say it holds 11,500 for boxing. It's almost sold out, right? And it was all Usyk fans. The chant, I mean, there was more Ukraine flags than I'd ever seen ever, right? Like, it was like a Ukrainian Day Pride Parade. Like, it was insane.
Were there more Ukrainian flags than Texas flags in your house?
There was. So
wow.
Keep that. Yeah.
Wow.
So, like, when you guys were saying that, there were defensive lapses, I mean, every time Usyk fired a shot, the crowd went crazy, right? Like, at the end of the fight, you would have think he just knocked out Joshua or Wilder. Like, that's the way the crowd reacted. It's like, and then I had to like reel it back in. I was like, okay, hang on. This was Chaz Witherspoon. Let's keep that in perspective. But I thought he looked good. He did get hit a few times, but he's fighting a guy. First, I want to comment on this. They list Usyk as 6'3". I'm 5'11". He stood next to me. I stood next to him at the weigh-in. That guy's 6'1" in heels. He ain't 6'3". I don't know who measured him at 6'3". That boy ain't 6'3". He's like 6'1". So, I mean, he's fighting a guy much bigger than him. There might have been some issues with range, trying to find the range, and he got hit fighting a bigger guy. I would say if I had to grade the performance, it was good, but it's incomplete because it's of who he fought. I couldn't find anything negative outside of he got hit by Witherspoon, who, let's be fair, is a sparring partner, really. Yeah. A little bit too much, But I thought Usyk gave a good performance, but it was, again, it's an incomplete. Like, look who you fought.
Agree on all parts. And I think this is one of those fights where Usyk's in the position where he has so much hype behind him, especially from just hardcores, that if he doesn't deliver in any spectacular fashion, he's going to get criticism. Like, that's just naturally how it's going to be. And plus, he is a little bit more of an unknown product at the heavyweight division. Let's just be honest. If he's struggling to adapt to the range at heavyweight for a guy like Chaz Witherspoon, guys like Fury, AJ Wilder, guys are significantly bigger than him with massive range advantages and reach advantages. I mean, I think Usyk's going to have a transitionary period here, and maybe he should take a little bit of a slow road to the heavyweight top, because I don't know if he go and beats these top three guys right now, right off the bat. I'll be honest. He got hit a lot in this fight. And again, maybe that's due to the year layoff, him being a heavyweight for the first time, the combination of those factors. But whenever I see a guy have a questionable performance in a way, I rather them take a sidestep before they get a huge jump up and fight the winner of AJ Ruiz, which is what Usyk wants.
Yeah, but on that, I believe the WBO is going to end up getting stripped, and I think he'll be facing the winner of something like Parker, and because I believe Fury's number 2 behind Usyk, but he's tied up and like making a deal with Usyk. Is he going to take whatever that, like, is it 50-50 a split for I don't know, I guess it is. But it could even by then be Daniel Dubois, Parker winner or something like that to face Usyk. So I don't know that necessarily think it's going to be Joshua Ruiz that Usyk will be fighting for that title.
Chisora and Parker are probably the best names for him. Like, if one of those guys isn't the next fight for Usyk, I'm questioning Eddie Hearn's matchmaking skills. Because that is
he works for the fighter, though, Matt. He works for the fighter.
I understand, but there's no way that Chisora, Parker, and Usyk all don't want to fight each other. Because all those fights are money fights. All those fights are good fights. It's a fight towards the championship. There's no way they say no to that fight. Any of them. In my opinion. Yeah. Right? Like, Chisora's not going to say no to that if you offer him a cool $3 to $5 million. Right?
Is there that much money in a Usyk fight? Like $3 to $5 million?
There's that much money in heavyweight boxing, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that seems like a lot. But
Gary, you just in attendance and 9 to 10,000 screaming Ukrainians turned up for that.
And again, Gary, go back and look at Chisora's purses in his last few fights. He's making 7 figures. Okay, he's on pay-per-view in the UK. I would assume a Usyk Chisora fight is a UK pay-per-view, and it's in the UK.
Yeah.
If it's not, it would be in Chicago probably.
But
that would be a misstep. I was
going to say, when talks of Usyk was fighting in Chicago, and I think Matt was like, why the hell is he?
No. That was Gary calling in, shitting on it. I've always been the mindset you can build Chicago. It's not traditionally a fight town, but there is a ginormous. Hold on, let me finish my statement. There's a ginormous Eastern European population there. And you could tap into that if you just try.
Yeah. No, I just think you were like that. Sort of, why not fight him in, the Ukraine, or fight him in his home? Why try to build? He's fought here and stuff like that. But now it looks like they've got a market for him, right? They turned out. So going forwards, if there's a US fight, it looks like he's got a US base. Chicago looks like
but
Usyk town, and obviously he can make big fights over here as well. We know him, and
yes, but the big fights that we were talking about should not be made in Chicago. Like if we're talking about Chisora, Parker, White, even maybe not Miller. I could see a Usyk Miller fight being in Chicago. That would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Wilder, AJ, Andy Ruiz. None of those fights are in Chicago. Chicago's the great sort of. It's gonna sound weird, but like the tune-up fight town for him in a way, or like the softer touch fight for him. Like whenever he's gonna fight, what would be a good name? Like the Joey DeWalcos of the world. That's gonna be in Chicago from now on, or at least it should be. Yeah. Similar to how Loma has made LA a good base for himself. Triple G as well made LA a good base for himself.
No, great.
I wanted to add one thing. Eddie Hearn said that Usyk's next fight is going to be for the WBO heavyweight title. Now, he didn't say Joshua Ruiz. Maybe one of them's going to vacate. The winner would vacate it, but Eddie Hearn said that in no uncertain terms. Like, he's not taking another in-between fight. So, if Joshua or Ruiz, whoever wins that, holds on to the belt, that's what we're looking at, according to Eddie Hearn.
Look, I think it's promoter talk because nothing in terms of IBF or WBO mandatories matter until we find out what happens on December. What day is that? 7th. The day they'll live in infamy.
But apparently the as it stands, I think Pulev will get his first, which means the WBO will strip. No, I'm just saying that's kind of how it's being.
I know that's what Eddie is saying. But that's what I'm saying. It's promoter talk,
and many more. Sort of bringing up.
It's cool. Eddie's been saying it. It's promoter talk because the WBO doesn't have a deep history of stripping champions at all. IBF does. So if we were in a reverse scenario here, where the WBO was first and Pulev wanted the shot, I would 100% agree with you, Rob, and anyone else was saying that they were going to strip the IBF because the IBF has a deep history of doing that. But the WBO, man, just slip them a couple Benjamins, they're good. Let's be 100% honest. Okay, like they're not going to give two shits about waiting. And on top of it, I think when Usyk is saying that, he's not going to take an in-between fight, and he's going to fight for the WBO title next, he's just saying that. When the option is, look, like, AJ beat Ruiz, we're going to do the trilogy fight. Sorry, I'm going to take an in-between fight Parker or Chisora. He's going to say yes, because they're going to offer him 7 figures of some figure, whether it's 2 or 3, 4 or 5 million, and he's going to take it. It's going to be in the UK, it's going to be on pay-per-view, it's going to do good numbers. And everyone's going to be okay with it, including Usyk, including the WBO, including these entities that could strip titles and such. In my opinion. But circling back, any other thoughts on the X's and O's of Usyk, Witherspoon? What's next for this, either guy in this fight, or just honestly Usyk? Any other thoughts basically on the main event here?
I just wanted to add one thing. Matt is right. The WBO is totally and completely up for sale. If you throw a couple dollars at them, they'll do what you ask. Bob Arum has them in their pocket. It's like. The WBO is the top-ranked champ, so, Matt's right. I mean, that really, the W bogus means nothing.
Agreed. Team Batman Boxing in Vegas for Canelo. Kovalev, Matt, maybe. I definitely applied. Got to find out. They don't let us know till like a week or two before the fight if we're accepted, so. Sorry.
If not, you'll be at KSI Logan Paul.
Well, that's a different week, so. And I've decided I'm going to that. I have too many media friends that are going, and I think it's going to be too much of a shit show to not go and get drunk after with a bunch of buddies.
Me and Gary could try to hold it down for a live fight chat.
Let's not go that far. Moving on, the co-main event: Dimitri Bivol defeating Lenin Castillo in another maybe potentially semi-disappointing fight, in only the sense that, again, Bivol, a guy that's received a ton of hype. Maybe the hype has been hyperbolic because he's not really a knockout artist. Lenin Castillo is a guy that has never been knocked out, so you should have expected this to go maybe the full 12. Looking back on it, and Bivol, to me, is a guy that needs to be at mid to long range to get his offense going and to be defensively efficient. If he's stuck on the inside, I feel like he is an inefficient fighter. He's hittable, and there was numerous times where Castillo was able to get on the inside and sort of like bully Bivol, who's the far better boxer. Even though Bivol clearly won like almost every round, if not every single round, knocked him down. It was just a far more competitive fight, even in a 120 scorecard, than I expected, and I think especially Bivol fanboys should be expecting. Again, having this conversation it was Friday night with guys like Info Joe, JP from Long Beach, Fern, Santiago. We all got together, right? And talking about the welterweight division and how that pack is far more close and competitive than previously thought, right? I think at light heavyweight, that's probably the case as well. Vajdic, Beterbiev, Bivol. There's no clear number one guy in that division right now that's going to reign over it. I think they're all relatively around the same level, that they do different things, but they're all relatively around the same competitive level at this point in time. And I will say Bivol does seem a little bit undersized for 175. But other than that, looked good. The jab was good. And when he puts combinations together, I think he's a fantastic boxer. But the hype that he is, the next pound-for-pound great definitely needs to be pushed down. The hype that he's the next Andre Ward, I think needs to be pushed down as well, especially since he was on a great run of competition, fighting Isaac Chalemba. Who else did he fight in that run? Let me go and check. Gary, thanks for the help. John Pascal, Joe Smith Jr., Solomon Barrera, fought all those guys in a row and then fights Lenin Castillo and looks a little bit flat. Weird performance. But guys, opening up to you, either one of you wants to take it. Bivol's performance. Good performance, bad performance, a little bit of what we should be expecting from him going forward now. Thoughts on maybe the hype of him, and is it hyperbolic now? Just thoughts overall.
I have two contrasting opinions on this. One, this is the second time in a row where the other guy in the ring with Bivol looks way bigger than him. Castillo looked 20 pounds bigger than him in the ring. Joe Smith looked 20 pounds bigger than him. I think he's fighting in the wrong weight class. I mean, if you stand next to guys like Kovalev, Joe Smith, they're big guys. I don't think Bivol's bigger than Jamal Charlo. I really don't. I don't think he's a light heavyweight. That being said, I think he's the best light heavyweight in the world. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's going to get
Vajdic destroyed Adonis Stevenson. You have the audacity to say that.
Okay, Vajdic would be the other. I would say that was number two. I think Bivol can outbox Vajdic. I think that's the fight we all want to see, and I think we will get it next year for sure at some point. But I think Bivol's too good of a boxer for Vajdic. I think Gilberto Ramirez has the style where he can get on the inside, but Bivol's a way better boxer than him, right? So I don't see who at 175. But if I had to pick someone, I'd pick Vajdic. But I think just if I had to bet, I think Bivol beats Vajdic, and I think he beats everyone else at 175. Matt doesn't agree with that.
No, Gary, no. I'm gonna let Rob talk because there's three of us. I don't want to interrupt and flow. Rob, jump in, and then I'll rant.
Obviously, in this case, it's going to be 2 against 1. Now, which way is that 2 and which is that 1? Gary, I've got to say, I agree with you.
I knew you were going to do that. You Eddie Hearn.
No. Straight up.
Boy.
Throw the Eddie Hearn stuff away. Throw the Eddie Hearn stuff away, right? Look, did Wilder destroy Tyson Fury? No. Why? Because Fury's a better boxer. I think just because someone's a beast doesn't mean they're immune to being outboxed. I think Bivol, as much as I want him to finally let his hands go, like he got Castillo down, and I'm like, right, go in. I mean, it was kind of a flash knockdown, but his legs did stiffen up, and he kind of, he did recover well. He got up and looked like, I'm good. Let's keep fighting. But there were times when Bivol did let his hand. I thought if he just did this at any point in this fight, I think he could overwhelm the guy. But he's happy just to go. I'll just win 120. You know what I mean? I'll just win every round. It's no problem. I can do it. I'm super fit. I agree with Gary as well. He looks undersized for 175. But you mentioned all the guys he's smaller than and like the other guys seem to have pounds on him. But he's dominating them and winning them. It's just I wish he was just that little bit more exciting. But I think he can outbox anyone in the division. I'm not saying he wins, Matt. I'm not going as far as he definitely wins, but I think he's perfectly capable of outboxing Beterbiev, outboxing Vojdik, outboxing Kovalev, you know. But let's be honest, as soon as Canelo beats Kovalev, Canelo's the number one light heavyweight.
I'm trying so hard. My blood pressure's rising, and I'm just trying to do some breathing exercises here.
Opinion.
Well, I don't see the argument that Bivol's a better boxer than Vojdik. I think that argument's bullshit. I think Bivol is like Mike Garcia, where people rant and rave about his boxing ability, but he actually goes and fights someone with diverse ability and diverse skill set, and he's going to get outboxed. That's what's going to happen. Okay, and a guy that can go fight moving backwards and forward, a guy that can fight going sideways, a guy that can throw bombs, a guy that can box, a guy that can be slick, that's Vojdik. Bivol's a very basic boxer puncher, okay, and a guy that also cannot take pressure well. So if you're talking about a guy like Beterbiev, who's a through and through a pressure fighter, that's the style matchup to give Bivol issues. And on top of it, he's facing a better boxer against Vojdik. Vojdik's going to beat him too. So I don't understand the narrative that Bivol's this once-in-a-generational boxer or that he is the better boxer of everyone in this group. I don't think that's true. Maybe he's a better boxer than Beterbiev, but I would then argue that the stylistic matchup does not favor Bivol still. But he's clearly not the better boxer than Vojdik. I don't think you can make that argument. You know, I know Gary wants to jump in, but I don't think outboxing Sullivan Barrera, Joe Smith Jr., old man John Pascal, who gave him some work too, and Isaac Chilemba means that you're the best boxer in the division. That doesn't mean at all. Those are a lot of basic guys too. So I just don't see that argument at all. I think that's a hyperbolic, hardcore narrative that's been put out there about Bivol for a long time because he has some hype. He has a good amateur career, but he doesn't have the win to say that he is the best boxer in the division. Vojdik did, and he clearly showed it against Adonis Stevenson. He outboxed him and beat him up.
No, I when you said that, you compare him to Mikey Garcia, yeah, I think that's a good comparison. You talk about Mikey Garcia like he's not that good. Mikey Garcia is a pound-for-pound guy. Like, Mikey Garcia got beat up by Errol Spence, a guy 2 weight classes bigger than him and probably just better than him, right? But that doesn't mean Mikey's not good. It just means that there's a special talent in that weight class.
Look, Gary, I know you do this a lot. When I criticize fighters, you think I either hate them or I now think they're trash. That's not what I'm saying.
No, but you're saying, like, he's Mikey Garcia. Yeah, that's really good. Like, his fundamentals are really good.
But I don't think Mike Garcia is the best guy at 135, 140, or 147.
I think he's...
What do you mean?
35?
Lomachenko outboxes him. Easy.
Is Mikey too big for Loma, though? Like, Mikey's big. Mikey's a big 135 pounder.
Oh, Matt's gone. What have you done, Gary? Look, he just said, just because Bivol's beaten X, Y, and Z, and now Mikey, Loma, Mikey, but who's Loma fought? Because he's only fought X, Y, and Z. But that argument doesn't count or counts this time.
What do you mean? I walked away. What are you saying?
No, I know. If you stick around, you would have heard it.
It was funny though.
It was a good point too, but we're not going to repeat it.
Yeah, I'll repeat it because it's fun. Matt, you said just because Bivol has fought X, Y, and Z, like, you know, the names you listed, doesn't mean he's the better boxer and beats like a Vojdik. But then you're saying Loma, you know, they haven't fought each other, Mikey and Loma, but Loma just beats Mikey easy.
Well,
And
here's why.
he's
Here's
only
why.
fought X, Y, and Z.
Here's why. It's really simple, okay? Because Loma has fought the better boxer of the two. You go down Loma's resume and Mikey's resume. Who has fought and beaten the better boxer? Loma has that. Okay. For Vojdik and Bivol, you go down their resumes. Who has beaten the better boxer? Clearly Vojdik. So that's my point. It's not just like, oh, they've beaten these guys, that means nothing. No. I'm saying these guys, while they're good, they're not the best boxer in the division. They're not even traditionally really slick boxers to really show that you're the better traditional boxer in that connotation. So that's my point, Rob, if that helps clarify what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of some weird triangle theory, and
no,
they don't work.
It's not really that at all. The idea that Bivol is the best boxer in the division has to be proven. And I'm arguing it has not been proven with the likes of Joe Smith Jr., Sullivan Barrera, who are not really great boxers. I'm using that in not the sense that they're not great in the division, they're not highly ranked. I'm saying they're not slick guys. You know what I mean? I'm using that connotation. Am I wrong? Or do you think Sullivan Barrera and Joe Smith Jr. are slick boxers? No.
Barrera's not slick, but Barrera is technically
He
good.
is. And that's why I made the Mikey Garcia comparison. Because Mike Garcia is technically skilled. Yeah. But he is basic in what he wants to do. He cannot fight going backwards. Cannot fight going laterally. He has a basicness to his style. He is efficient and highly technical in what he does, but it's not diverse. He doesn't have a giant toolbox and go in and pick things up when he's running out of ideas. He doesn't have that. Bivol, similarly, does not have a bunch of different ideas he can go back into, go back in the well and find plan C, D, E, F, G. He doesn't have that. He has plan A, and that's it, similar to Mikey. And that plan A is really good, but against certain guys, plan A is not going to work. And there's never a clear plan B for these guys.
And I get what Matt's saying, right? Like Andre
Don't
Ward.
fold, Gary. Don't fold.
Matt
has to always make you believe what he thinks. It's just opinions. It doesn't matter. Just stand by your gut. Go with it.
Like when
got you.
Andre Ward beat who did Ward beat to win the title? The big slow white dude from Denmark or whatever. What was his name?
Kessler?
Kessler. He outboxed Kessler. He stood at range and outboxed him. And then he fought Sakio Pika. It's like, I would have grinded out and fight in a phone booth and win every round that way. You know, there was like so many different things, different ways. Ward could beat you any way he wanted to. Bivol can't. If you get in Bivol's grill, Joe Smith got in his grill once and almost knocked him out. Like, if you get in his grill, he doesn't have anything else to go to. Like,
after
he doesn't.
That was after the bell anyway.
It was not
I'm sure we can teach Bivol to punch someone in the dick. That ain't no problem. He'll be as good as Ward then.
And quickly, because some people are pushing back on the idea that Loma has been a better boxer than Mikey. Mikey's best win is what, Gary? Like Salido? Robert Easter Jr.?
I would say because of the size difference, Easter's the best boxer. Sure, Easter's the best pure boxer of the bunch.
On his resume, right? Yeah.
I would say his best win is
Okay.
Easter's the best boxer on the resume. He is.
Okay. Loma's beating Luke Campbell at the division. Luke Campbell has a fucking Olympic medal. Easy. Done. End of story. Also, Rigo, Nicholas Walters. Like, you can go down the list, guys.
He did beat Rigo. Rigo is the quintessential boxer.
And two gold medalists. Outboxing
who beat Rigo? Loma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. The great boxer that had to go up 2 divisions to fight him.
I'm not arguing that. You're right about that. But guess what? Rigo's still a better boxer than anyone Mikey's ever fought.
Way better. Way better.
I'm just saying, put it into context.
I know, I agree with the context, but even with the context, My point is still absolutely valid and true.
Okay.
Is it not?
I just don't know at what point the weight division doesn't count. Just because some like
You're
I don't
picking
know.
Canelo to beat Kovalev. He's jumping up 2 divisions when he started at 147. That's a far bigger weight jump and weight gain than what Rigo did. Rigo was a career 122 guy. Moved up to 130.
30.
I don't know what my pick for Canelo Kovalev's got anything to do with this.
Because the idea that size matters so much. Well, you're picking a guy that's moving up 2 weight classes after he's already moved up 2 weight classes.
Yeah, but my point is Rigo's fabulous boxing talent didn't matter a fuck when he moved up 2 weight classes. But I think Canelo's is because he's.
I don't. Okay, sure. Anyways, moving on. The rest of the card, there wasn't a lot to write home about. Jessica McCaskill won, but that fight was rough, man. For us, really made it an ugly affair. God, the amount of holding in that fight. I had to just sort of tune out, to be honest. That wasn't a fight that really entertained me.
Did you have Okoli flashbacks?
Yeah, but Okoli's more awkward, man. Like I said, like he's like a newborn baby deer, man. Like he doesn't move right as a boxer. Like his limbs don't like bend the right way. It's weird. Moving on to a more somber topic. Obviously, prayers up still for Patrick Day right now, who got knocked out against Charles Conwell in his fight. He's still in a coma after surgery. You know, I don't mean I'm like almost numb to this at this point. Like Maxim Dadashov is still like fresh in my mind, guys. Like I don't, and I knew instantly when he got knocked out something was wrong. You could tell. Like
it was his head hitting the canvas as well, right? That was it was not good.
It sounded like a coconut cracking. I'm sitting, a couple rows up. You could hear his head hit the canvas. Like it was bad. Like it was bad.
Yeah.
You knew that he was not getting up for a while. Like it was, you don't know the severity of it, but you knew he was not going to be in good shape. You heard his head crack like a coconut against the canvas.
Yeah, it was, and he showed great heart. He wasn't really winning rounds. He was already knocked down a couple of times or whatever. And, he was still trying to win the fight in the 12th round and just left his chin out in the air. And Como, I mean, when it happened, when you see a big knockout, that's why we watch boxing a lot of the time, right? And it's like the big knockout is like, wow. And obviously Como was pumped and he was all, big knockout. This is good on TV. And then you could just tell the mood changed and you could see the worry in Colemo's face. And, then we call it stretcher, but I kept seeing the word gurney coming out
same thing
over there, but same thing. But and oxygen, and I believe he had some kind of seizure on the way to the ambulance. He still hadn't gained consciousness, and there was talk of like a pipe fit into the throat, obviously helping him.
Breathing ventilation tube.
Yeah.
That's weird. I'm thinking like a metal pipe. I was like, what? He got hit by a pipe? I was starting to get like more worried. I didn't hear that.
No, come on. I'm just saying a hollow tube.
Breathing tube.
And then surgery and put into a medically induced coma. So obviously from me and just watching it at the time and just start getting that sinking feeling. And so obviously thoughts with all involved with Patrick Day,
family, friends, everyone.
Lou DiBella, he's represents both guys, so kind of bittersweet sort of feeling. Obviously, he's happy for Conwell putting on a display, but now he's got the fear, because I think Eddie said it's clear when you talk to Lou how much he cares for his fighters, and that's a real bad moment. The whole boxing community came together for Errol Spence, wishing him all the best and hoping he pulls through. And lucky enough, he seems to have come away pretty much unscathed, and he's going to be fine. So we're back now as a community, trying to positive thoughts and hoping Patrick Day can come through.
Like the next day too, man. It's a tough week for boxing fans. A lot of emotion flying around. Let's jump to a more positive topic. Anthony Sims Jr. defeating Morgan Fitch Oh my God. I'll say this. Clearly just a bad matchup because Morgan Fitch had no business being in the ring with Anthony Sims Jr. And it was apparent rather quick. If Sims had like legitimate knockout power, he would have hurt this guy, and it would have been bad. I'll be honest. It would have not been a pleasant sight. Luckily, Sims doesn't have that much power in a sense, so they took a little bit longer, and it wasn't as brutal. But I mean, he dominated Morgan Fitch. I think he clearly outboxed him every second of the fight. I'm just ready for him to take the step up because he was fighting decent level opponents and then took a step down in opponent level.
I just want to say something. Like Fitch, he's fought on Golden Boy cards before. I'm not saying he's good, right? But
was a contender, right? He was on the contender. They were saying on the broadcast.
I know the name. I know I've seen him before. I don't think I've ever seen him win, but I know I've the Morgan Fitch. I've seen him fight before. I know I've seen him on Golden Boy cards in the past.
Okay, guys, you want to know who he fought? No, I got it. He fought Darnell Boone in 2013.
Bang! Boone knocked down Ward.
It was a split draw. It was a 6-rounder.
He beat Willie Monroe too. Keep that in mind.
Awesome. He then had a 3-fight losing streak to Yamaguchi Falcao, Avani Heatroff, and then Gerald Sherrill.
Wait.
Not Terrell Gachet, Gerald Sherrill.
Oh, Gerald. I thought you said jailed.
No, Gerald. Like Gerald
I think
Butler.
like the now jailed.
Especially like Gerard. Anyways, got knocked out by Heatroff as well. All of those are 6-rounders, except for the Falcao fight, which was a 10-rounder. Then beat Colby Corter, and then obviously just lost Anthony Sims Jr. That's who he is.
The Falco fight was on a Golden Boy card. That's where I'd seen him before. I knew I'd heard of him before. Again, I'm not saying like Anthony Sims is like 25, 26 now. He should be fighting a higher level of competition. He shouldn't be fighting glorified club fighters. But
what do you make of the Rocky Fielding call out?
I love it. Love that fight for him. That makes perfect sense.
Twitter's gone mad saying Eddie Hearns told him to call out. And I'm like, well.
Sure. Okay, if he did, good for him. I mean, it's a good matchup. It makes sense. Rocky Fielding's a guy that is far bigger than him, a guy that's, relatively been at the top, but is a flawed fighter, significantly so. So it's a fight that Anthony Sims could easily win, outbox Fielding, maybe get a knockout, look good, and has a common opponent with string guys who are champions now. So.
And BoxRec loves Rocky Fielding. They have him higher than Caleb Plant. BoxRec legend.
Oh, also on BoxRec, because I was arguing with someone that said that Usyk isn't a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter today, which is just fucking crazy. But there's, I looked up the pound-for-pound rankings on BoxRec. Breedis is ranked above Usyk.
Which,
I don't know how. that makes no sense.
What, in what sense? The BoxRec
pound for pound list. Yes.
Oh dear God.
Right.
But yeah, back to Sims Jr. I thought his jab, when he pumps it, is fast, sort of forceful jab. I know, like you said, Matt, whether it's real hurtful, but I think it does a job.
Well, to this guy, it does. To this guy, it does. But I mean, we've seen him fight. Who was his last fight?
If you keep landing that, I don't care who you are, that's starting to take its toll, right?
I don't know. We fought Von Alexander, right, in his last fight that I was intended for, right? Von Alexander was a good step up, in my opinion. And he struggled in that fight. And they brought the competition level back down to a Morgan Fitch level. He picked up the KO win.
Right? There was issues going into that fight, though, right?
He said that. He never alluded to what those issues were, so I'm not going to speculate on what his issues were and whether they affected.
New camp and everything now, right? He's got a new trainer, and so I don't know what was going on. But
I don't know. I can't speculate on it. I asked him, obviously interviewed him, right, and he wouldn't talk to me about it, so I don't know. But I'm still of a wait and see mentality for Anthony Sims, similar to guys like Tanajara, Mario Barrios, guys that I know, Gary, things that I specifically hate on. But no, I think there's a lot of prospects that I'm just like, hey, they're talented. Obviously, you can see the talent, but I don't know what their ceiling is. It's hard to gauge that at this point in time. Are they going to be a top 20 guy? Are they going to be a top 10 guy, top 5 guy? Are they going to be a world champion, perennial world champion, perennial top 10 guy? Are they going to be a top 30 guy? Like, those are all different things in varying degrees of success within your career. And there's a lot of guys that are hyped up as a prospect that don't reach all those different levels. So I'm always of a wait and see unless I see something really special in them. And Sims, I don't see something truly special yet, similar to Barrios. See the talent, see the skill, but something's missing. I don't know what it is yet, but great performance by Anthony Sims, but again, look at the competition level. Gary, thoughts on Anthony Sims' performance?
There's not much to critique. You know, I get what you're saying. I think he's a little bit better athletically than Barrios is.
Oh, absolutely.
So I can see upside there. He's got to fight someone better. Again, like, it's an incomplete. It's good. There's not much to criticize, right? But the competition.
Also, some other fights on the undercard, just to briefly mention them. TJ Doheny picked up a comeback win against Jesus Martinez via TKO in the 6th round. I didn't see that fight, to be honest, so I'm not going to comment on it. And Otha Jones, the third, picked up a win as well via UD. And my only critiques of Otha Jones, because he's a prospect, he should take critiques. And plus, he follows me on social media, so hope you're watching this. Set up your shots a little bit more. You're rushing it. You're rushing in with hooks, rushing with combinations. Slow it down a little bit. I know it's a 4-rounder, and a lot of young guys want to rush for that KO when it's a 4-rounder. But slow it down just a tad, work on your jab, and more importantly, throw more feints. Jones, you got to throw more feints because that'll set up your power shots. And your power shots are effective if you set them up more. And I think that was my only issue with his performance, that he was rushing it. But it was a 4-rounder. He's a young guy. It's to be expected.
I want to get in on this fight. I was at Otha Jones' pro debut. Was on the Bivol Joe Smith card at Hooker, and I thought he was good. That guy ain't it. Like, if he's listening, I'm sorry. I was a fan. He fought Eric Manriquez. You know where he's from? You know where Manriquez is from?
Texas.
In his last fight, Manriquez fought, and you may know him, Arnold Alejandro. There's two brothers, Arnold and Angel Alejandro. They're both from Dallas. They fight on a lot of the PBC cards. And he's at about the same stage of his career as Otha Jones. He absolutely blew him out, right?
No. He didn't.
Arnold Alejandro didn't blow him out. This was on the Figueroa undercard in the Valley.
I'm looking at it right now. First off, they gave Manriquez more rounds against Alejandro than Jones. On top of it,
one of the judges had it even.
Hold on. They're both UDs. They're both unanimous decisions. Alejandro was a 6-rounder that went the full 6.
Sure.
Jones was a 4-rounder that went the full 4 rounds.
And it was a majority decision. One of the judges scored it 2-2, which I thought was reasonable. It was either 3-1 or 2-2.
Oh, that's right. You're right. It was a majority decision. I didn't see that. I didn't see the 2-2. I didn't see that.
Okay. But 3-1 for sure. Like, it was the third. Yeah, it was the third that Manriquez clearly won. And then the fourth, he was in the fourth too. I didn't give it to him. I had it 3-1 for Otha. But this is a guy who's, and Manriquez is trained by a guy named Dave Martinez, who is like one of the best trainers you've never heard of. He has got a stable of fighters who all have 500 records, but they're all way better than the record is kind of guy. If you want me to believe that Otha Jones, and I know he's only 18 or 19, is some kind of special talent, which
I'm not saying that, but to say that like Angel Alejandro blew out this guy.
Yeah, that's probably an overstatement.
That's an overstatement. I mean, Otha Jones is 4-0 now.
Texas.
I mean, Otha Jones is 4-0. Like, I don't think anyone at 4-0, I'm gonna, except for maybe guys like Loma, who is a champion at 4-0 or like 4-1 technically. Like, I really think is gonna be special. Like, I gotta wait and see. So that's not what I'm arguing here at all.
But I think Eddie, like, they put him in like the co-main event here or the second to co-main. Like, I think Eddie thinks the world of this guy, and he ain't it. Like,
Eddie said in an interview after, he said he needs to do better. That was poor. He said that was a poor showing, and I think it was more, I hope he listens to this kind of thing and it gives him a kick up the ass. Basically, yeah, I'm sure Eddie, he's not throwing him to the wolves and saying, one more try, otherwise we're dropping you or anything like that. But he said he's got to do better. He expected a little bit more, but wasn't there like a clash of heads and caused a bit of, I don't know if the Jones not rocked, but it just threw him off for a little bit, and I don't know, but yeah, it's just one of those nights. 4-rounder, like you say, Matt. I think sometimes these young kids, they feel like I've got to get the knockout. I've got to get the knockout. I've got to get the knockout. I've got to impress. I've only got 4 rounds to do it.
They throw out game plan, technique out the window.
Yeah. Someone like Nikita, he seems to go out proper throwing bombs and seems to be going through guys no problem. Other guys are more technical, and you just can't blow guys out. Doing that kind of, proper technical boxing and picking and throwing your shot. He was very, I don't know, trying to rush his work, I think, and it just met a guy that it wasn't going to happen with on that night, So, or they like 4-0, 5-0. So
you can. Sorry, quickly, Gary. You can rush your work only if you have the range down.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to hit your shots more often because you got the range down. You just naturally, when you press them and you start rushing into shots and combinations, you're going to be able to land them more effectively. But if you don't have the range down and you're off the get-go, round 1, rushing someone, you're going to be missing a lot of shots and you're going to be inefficient because you don't have the range yet. You need that first minute and a half to sort of gauge this sort of the tempo, the pace, the speed, the range of what this fight is. This is how this guy reacts to certain movements. You need that adjustment period. It's hard. It's, again, 4-rounders. That's why I don't like judging prospects on 4-rounders.
Otha made his pro debut against a guy named Georgie Cavalli, who was 6-1, like a decent fighter, like not someone you'd make your pro debut against. And I was really impressed because he showed patience. Like you saw the first round or two,
agree.
Otha tried to blow him out. And then once that wasn't going to happen, like once he said, okay, this is a tough guy with some skills, he sat back and he outboxed him the rest of the fight. And I was really impressed with that. I don't know. He seems to be regressing. Like, I thought maybe it was just a bad performance, but he did not look good at all yesterday.
Definitely could have had a better performance. Moving on. Another fight this weekend that happened that I think a lot of people just forgot about. Josh Warrington fought this weekend, guys, on ESPN Plus and BT Sport, defeating Sofine Tokuche, whatever his name is, this guy from France. And I mean, look, it's a tune-up. He knocked him out in 2 rounds. Right? Yeah, 2 rounds. This guy clearly had no business being anywhere with a world-level fighter. Period. End of story. And if the rumors, not really rumors, speculation, let's say, because, people like Frank Warren are talking about it, that a Zhu Shan will be the WBA super champion since Leo is moving up and vacating that belt, that we get a unification between Zhu Shan and Josh Warrington. Give me that fight, please. That would be a war. And while it's not a Warrington-Shakur Stevenson fight, which would probably be the fight that I would want for the division, it's right up there for me in all action. So I'll take a Zhu Shan, Josh Warrington fight for unification if that's next. Guys?
Yeah,
Rob?
I like it. I mean, let's get a Shakur fight when he's actually got the title, right? So, yeah, I like the Zhu Shan, whichever way around you put it. I've seen it tweeted out both ways, so I'm not quite sure which is the surname.
It's Susan. Like, come on.
Susan, yeah, all right. But, yeah, I like that fight. But, yeah, Warrington, it was never, I mean, it was the highest available opponent, apparently, according to the rankings. So what are you going to do? But
fuck those rankings.
And maybe Matt can relate to this. You might not get it, Rob, but like in Texas, at least, you play your homecoming game against the worst possible team on your schedule. That way you get a win. Everyone's happy. Warrington was coming home. He even got a knockout. When was the last time he got a knockout? So, I mean, it's homecoming. It's like, wow, we got him a knockout. Now everyone, let's go out, dance, and celebrate and have a good time. But that fight, I hadn't watched it because the level of there was no need to.
You don't need to.
Yeah, we get what homecoming means, Gary, in England. Don't worry.
But do you know that you play the worst team on your schedule homecoming weekend?
Maybe
typically,
not, I got it.
Well, I know there's like unis obviously in the UK, but like, what's the step before universities? What's that called? Aren't universities and colleges the same thing?
Not over there. College would be like a trade school, and then a university would be like Oregon State.
Okay. So what would be the equivalent for high school? Like when you're 14, Rob.
Yeah.
What's the name of that level of school?
Yeah, it's like secondary school or high school. Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have like homecoming games for like shit like that? Like I don't know, soccer or football, obviously, or
yeah. No, look, you do.
I'm just wondering now.
You do things differently though. Yeah, we have a school team, but it's not got fucking high attendance. Like even your college teams are like bigger than any fucking league in the world. It's just it's not like
I'm not. I'm asking about. You have to understand, high schools aren't like colleges. So like a homecoming game for my high school is a homecoming game. Every high school. Yeah, you guys don't have like cheerleaders or not cheerleaders, but like you guys don't get like hype for like your secondary school football matches.
Oh really?
Really?
You got to come to Texas.
That's shocking.
You got to come to Texas.
Wow. Anyways, moving on.
You got any excuse to be all USA, or
well, no, I mean, high school isn't anything like USA. That's
all right. Enter school name here. Enter school name here.
Well, yeah, but that's the same thing with like I don't know, Arsenal versus Liverpool or shit like that. You guys get hyped for that.
That's the professional, supporters. You're not gonna get that in school.
Yeah, but
people are just like, oh look, he gets to leave class early because he's got to fucking play football. Bastard.
That's weird.
There's more anger attached to it.
That's odd.
Rob, did you watch the Errol Spence versus what the heck was the mandatory's name? Ocampo. Did you watch that fight?
I did.
That's a high school football stadium in Texas. A high school plays there.
Yeah. There's different levels.
Well, Texas is just a different level entirely, especially when it comes to football, because Jesus Christ. But anyways, the rest of the card, I didn't watch the rest of the card because
go down it quickly.
Zelfa Barrett versus Jordan McCory.
That was a good fight. It was a good fight. McCory, tough as hell, but yeah.
McCory knocked down 3 times, had one deducted at the end of the 8th round for punching after the bell. Mm-hmm. Lyndon Arthur, who I'll probably actually go back and watch because I do like Lyndon Arthur, defeated Emmanuel Anim. Looks like both guys got cut. Troy Williamson, Ben Douglas, Shabazz Mossad.
Go and watch him. Go watch.
Okay. Mark Efron, who he fought like Liam Williamson, right? Or something like that. Or Liam Williams, not too long ago, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. John Joyce. Any relation to Joe Joyce?
I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't catch any of the...
Yeah, the rest of the card is trash. We don't need to keep talking about it. A lot of 1-0 guys and debut guys. Just don't care.
Go check out the...
Shabazz Mossad?
Yeah.
He was good? Okay, I'll go check that one out.
People hyping him up. He's slick. He done like the Matador, and his opponent, he kind of sidestepped, and his opponent was almost through the ropes, without even touching it. He's pretty slick. Ben Davison's saying keep an eye on this kid, and people like that. He's getting quite a good hype early on.
Moving on to news of the day. Remember, guys, call in 323-870-405. One, press 1 to get in the queue. Promoter Eddie Hearn says Gennady Golovkin can make his first title defense against Kamil Zamareta on February 29th in Chicago. I don't care. This is one of the worst mandatory fights we have seen in some time for a champion. And this
Ocampo.
I don't know, man, because Valdez, if we go back in Valdez's resume, there's probably some mandatories there that have been pretty trash since then. Even like guys like Leo Santa Cruz have been finding some trash mandatories.
Caleb Plant's going to be getting vegan butts soon.
Oh, that's right. That's a bad one. That's a really bad one, too.
Yeah. All IBF, man. A lot of these.
All of them are bad. WBA, WBO, IBF, WBC. All of their rankings are
what
atrocious.
Was it? The IBF, when I emailed the IBF, they told me Spence, this was pre, his accident and stuff, but he'll be having his IBF mandatory in after his defense of the WBC. So I guess more in the summer, which at the moment is Kurtasila Abu Akarov or something like that.
A guy that should not be fighting a world champion.
He's fighting. I think he's scheduled to fight Luis Collazo.
Leaf Hound, bring up Charlie Hogan. Yeah, but that's not mandatory. That's just a trash fight. It's very different.
But that guy I mentioned for Spence he won I think it was a final eliminator, so he's due up once the Danny fight or whatever happens next. So yeah,
all these
shout out to all these Mandos. Will Spence vacate his IBF? Will he have that?
He could now. He has another belt,
Yeah,
it's very possible. I mean, I really don't have any other take on Triple G's or Murat. Gary, thoughts on this fight? It being Chicago, February 29th. You think the zone's happy?
I mean, we tried to talk about how they could recoup their money, and the answer is they can't. So I guess they're going to try to milk it, and then they'll try to make the Canelo fight next, and then see how that goes. I have no interest in this, and no, I don't think the IBF called this. I think Eddie Hearn's like, hey, can we take our mandatory now? And they said, sure.
No, that is what they said. They're not calling this mandatory. This is a voluntary defense of your mandatory, and it just whatever. I mean, I have no further take on bad fights.
No, I mean, back in Chicago, along with Ukrainians, I believe there's a lot of Polish. So that's
it's going to do great in Chicago for those demographics, but who gives a shit?
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. It is what it is.
Sort of speaking in a similar vein, although this is a really good fight, but just not bad matchmaking, bad planning. Let's say bad planning. It turns out that they could be moving the Juan Estrada Cal Yafai fight from the December 13th card of the Jacobs Chavez undercard in MSG New York City to a January show in Miami, Florida. And first off, I was already kind of like, why put Estrada Yafai in New York? It makes no sense. But it at least adds a lot of card depth for that card, so I'm okay with it. Now you're going to take away the depth in that card, really the credible fight on that card, because Jacobs Chavez Jr. isn't the credible fight on that card. It was Estrada Yafai. You're going to take that away and put it in Miami, Florida? What are you thinking? First off, Miami, we're talking about like fight towns that aren't really fight towns. Miami's high on that list, right? Like, I know, Gary, you hated the idea of a Chicago fight, but Miami fights always do bad. And on top of it, neither of these guys have any sort of demographic in Miami. And this goes back to what I was talking about, I want to say either with the show with you, Gary, or maybe earlier this week with you, Rob. Like this, it seems like DAZN, which is a UK-based company, doesn't have a real understanding that these Latino demographics are not the same. You know, they're putting like Mexican fighters in Puerto Rican markets, in Cuban markets. It makes no sense. I don't understand the thought process behind putting a Mexican fighter from, what is he from, like Sinaloa, Mexico? Like he's from a legit gangster part of Mexico, and a UK fighter who's Indian or Pakistani, and putting them in a fight in Miami, Florida.
It's like your drunk uncle who you bring your friend over and he goes, oh, he's a Mexican. He's like, I'm Costa Rican. He's like, what the hell's the difference, right? Like,
yep.
There's actually it's an entirely different country. There's entirely like they're not the same. I guess Liston versus Ali was in Miami. They've tried to put 100 million fights there since, and none of them have sold. It's like it's not going to work. Like you could put a Puerto Rican versus a Cuban in there, and for some reason it doesn't sell, even though there's a huge Puerto Rican and a huge Cuban demographic there. It just doesn't sell. Now you're going to put a Mexican fighter in there with no natural market and think that's going to sell?
I can say UK fighter. And like
against the UK fighter, yeah.
Which I mean, if you're a UK fighter,
That's
you naturally struggle to find like a market that you would sell well in the US, obviously. But New York would be a far better place for that fight because at least it's a easier travel time for Yafai fans if they want to travel to that fight in New York City. Miami, it's a longer flight, more expensive for traveling fans. And on top of it, it's a fight town that it's not a fight town. It's a town that has no real fan bases for either fighter here. So I'm not. Are they thinking of putting this as the main event in Miami, or are they thinking that this is gonna be on the undercard of another big fight in Miami? I don't know, but it just doesn't make any sense. Like sometimes less is more, guys. Like sometimes going to every city in the world, going to Monaco, Miami, L.A., Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Sometimes that's overstretching yourself. Okay.
Riyadh. Who the fuck is Riyadh?
How do you pronounce the name of the city?
Or isn't it Riyadh or something like
Riyadh, whatever. Okay.
You're mixing it with Diriyah and Riyadh. It's like
what's Diriyah?
Riyadh.
What's Diriyah?
That's actually where the fight is.
Oh, that's right. That's
Riyadh.
right. No, you're right. Okay. Yeah. Anyways,
I
think like there's a benefit to just being in 3 or 4 cities and markets, and you solidify those markets, and they're yours. There's a benefit to that. Obviously, Matchroom have the UK on lock, so the idea of like being concerned about the UK market shouldn't be an issue. So if you're looking to the US, make New York and LA homes for you, and focus on those 2 cities. Maybe Chicago for you guys like Triple G and Usyk. But that's it, man. Don't go off the beaten path here with a potentially shrinking budget via DAZN, and on top of it, it's seeming like the traction for fans and for subscribers isn't as mainstream, let's say, as they were hoping. It's still a very boxing-centric subscriber base for DAZN, and putting weird matchups or even good matchups in weird locales does a disservice to your main subscriber base at this point in time.
Yeah, this isn't happening just yet, so let's...
No, I know that. I'm saying if it's in Miami, it's awful. And I'll be honest, if they're... The fact that they're even thinking about this is probably a sign that this fight's not going to be on this card.
Well, we don't even know. Last I heard, Chavez isn't looking likely to sign right now to fight Jacobs, and it's going to be Gabe Rosado against Jacobs.
At 75? I mean, at 68?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe somewhere in between. I don't know, but
yeah.
That's some of the last reportings or interviews I saw regarding Chavez Jr. signing that contract.
Eddie said they were going to look to shop that fight around in different locations, including California and other cities in Texas besides Dallas, meaning San Antonio, I would think. Which to me would indicate that it's Chavez, because why would you sell Jacobs in heavy Mexican, areas if it wasn't Chavez? Mm-hmm. If it was Gabe Rosado, it doesn't make any sense at all to put it in LA or San Antonio.
Yeah.
So wait, now that date's even not like solid for MSG? Is that?
He's looking because you have there's a top ranked card that weekend too, right?
Yeah, that's Crawford and Teofimo Kome, right, on the 14th.
Yep.
Yeah.
13th. Is it 13th? 14th.
It's the 14th. 14th, because
14th.
This would be
Jacobs and that we're going to go on the Friday.
No, you're right. Yeah. And plus the 7th, the week before, is Joshua. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think this card's going to fall apart, and I think DAZN's going to keep making some really simple mistakes when it comes to matchmaking and strategizing. It just, again, simple mistakes. If they're really thinking about Estrada, Yafai in Miami, they're already messing up.
I don't know. They got that Kansas market locked down now.
Well, then Kansas. Although Hooker is going to make his 147 debut on that December 13th card.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just move it to Texas. Just
San
move it to
Antonio, baby. Gary credentialed.
I'll be there.
He was basically doing all the press conference, driving the questions anyway, from what I've heard.
I have to go back and watch the press conference now because of this.
Yeah, people in the chat say I could hear Gary's voice on the press
Wait,
conference.
Gary,
if only we had him credentialed, he would have had.
That's what I want to know. Hold
spilling.
on, time on. Gary, how were you in the press conference if you weren't credentialed?
I walked in.
There you go.
There was only one exit out, and the press conference was on the left, and I was right behind Michelle Joy Phillips, so I just walked her in. Act like you belong.
Did she laugh and make you turn around?
She didn't know who I was. I was just talking to her,
Rob,
and then I just followed her in.
Stop hating on her laugh. God, it's so picky. Moving on. Okay, we're gonna rant. I know for the next 30, 40 minutes on these topics.
We're not, because it's nearly midnight. So get over it quickly.
You're gonna have to deal with it because I don't know. I can't control Gary with these topics. But per name redacted, aka the boxing voice, Eddie Hearn was talking to them and said, in reference to Devin Haney, his next fight will be announced next week. We offered Hector Tanajara the fight, but they turned the fight down. So it won't be Tanajara.
Insert eek emoji.
That would have been a good fight. It might be a good one for the future. So, Gary, as the resident Tanajara fanboy, defend the duck in here by your mans.
I don't get why it's a duck. Not every deal's a good deal. I mean, you don't know. I don't know what maybe it was a great deal. Maybe it is a duck, but you don't know what was on the offer sheet. I mean, that and
career high money, I guess.
But you have no evidence to support that.
It's his best fight to date, so it probably would be his career high payday. It's not like he went from fighting champions to fighting Devin Haney. He's fighting bums and cabbies to fighting Devin Haney. He's going to get paid more.
And if he had any ounce of ambition in his career, he would have taken the Haney fight in belief that he was going to take the interim WBC interim title and mandatory spot to face Lomachenko.
And let's be honest here, Gary. If he was thinking like you were, that he could beat all these guys, he's the best prospect at 135, he should take the fight, obviously. Because if he beats Haney, he has a fucking roadmap to Lomachenko. But nope, he doesn't. Or Oscar doesn't, and Eric Gomez don't, because they know their guy ain't ready for it.
Or maybe it's just not the right time for the fight.
Which is what I just said. That's literally what I just said.
Right. Right. I'm agreeing. It's just not the right time for
the
fight.
Because he's not talented enough. He's not good enough for the fight. That's the point.
So is that a duck?
It's not the right time because you can't beat him. If you could beat him, it would be the right time.
Well, no, the right time would be when the pot is bigger, when there's more money in the fight, when it's the headline fight, not now.
Dude, we're coming a month or two from like Dubois Gorman, bro. Like, no, that excuse doesn't fly anymore. I'm sorry. Like, Tanajara, you've done nothing. You're not even that much of a blue chip prospect, to be honest. Sorry, no. The pot's not gonna get bigger. Go fight someone. You're not You're not a relevant prospect. Go make yourself relevant.
I agree that he should take the fight. If it was me, if I was Oscar, I'd tell him you should take the fight. I think that you can win the fight, and I think that you're good enough that even if you lose, you're going to show really well, so your stock goes up. So I don't see why it would be bad, right? Like, if you win, that's incredible. But if you lose, I think you lose a competitive fight, and that's not bad because you just lost to Haney, who everyone is anointing the second coming. And if you fought him and lost a 10, 12, or I guess 12-round decision, you lost, but you won some rounds off your jab and you look decent, your stock goes up. Most people don't know who you are.
I got to say this. Clearly, Ryan Garcia is the better prospect than Tanajara right now.
I'm going to quickly check Eric Gomez's Twitter account to see if he said Tanajara didn't want it. He said he's too big.
Let's be honest here, okay? Ryan Garcia is challenging himself. He's fighting good competition. He's fighting good top 30 guys, top 40 guys in the division. And on top of that, when there are names that are being mentioned with him, and his own promoter is saying he's scared to fight, he doubles down and takes the fight. Okay, on a gigantic card. Man, Tanajara got mentioned with Haney for weeks. Ran.
On a bigger card.
You didn't want that smoke. You didn't
Be on
want
an
that
even
work.
bigger card.
See,
He knows what it is.
This is bait. I'm not taking this. Next topic.
To be on an even bigger card.
Yo, man, Ryan Garcia's a better prospect than Tanajara. That's just the goddamn truth.
And
you know what? I'll even argue he's a better boxer than Tanajara, too. Fuck out of here. Tanajara's not even that good.
And that's why Garcia ducked him, right?
Garcia ducked. Yo, Tanajara can't talk shit about Ryan Garcia right now. At all.
He called him out. And then he
all.
called the other guy, the Filipino guy. What's his name?
Of course he called out Ryan Garcia. He's a gigantic star for these level of guys. Of course. But guess what? Devin Haney's a star too. And guess what? He is actually a great boxer in the division. He's a top 10 guy. You didn't want that smoke. You wanted Ryan Garcia, Tanajara. You wanted that what you thought was easy work. When the real work showed up, the real money, you didn't sign it. Nuh-uh. No, Tanajara, let's be real about this, okay? When the real fight showed up, he didn't take it. He wanted to go fight the IG star, the Instagram star, not the real fucking prospect star. Fuck out of here.
Well, wouldn't you want to fight Ryan Garcia for more money?
What do you want to fight Devin Haney? They're both superstars for their relatively status, for the relative status. Look at Devin Haney's social media numbers. Look at who he's connected with in pop culture.
Who do you think would bring him a bigger purse? For Tanajara, Garcia or Devin Haney?
I think it's almost marginal. There's almost no difference between the two. What are you talking about? Devin Haney is honestly Eddie Hearn's biggest U.S. name.
Good. Okay, good. Same amount of money. What's an easier fight?
But Gary, you're about to say something that I just said that agrees with my point. That Tanajara won the easier fight instead of the harder fight. And it's clear as day. You don't even need to keep going about what you're going to say because you're about to say exactly what I just said.
Right. If the money is the same,
that's
the easier fight.
Or if you care about your legacy, you care about doing something in boxing, go fight the guy that is the mandatory to Loma, that is just as big of a star as Ryan Garcia. Okay? That is the number one prospect in your division.
I agree with what you're saying. I would advise him to take the fight because I think it's a competitive fight. So if he wins or loses a competitive fight, it's a win for him. His stock goes up.
Quickly.
So I would tell him to take the fight.
Quickly.
I'm agreeing with you.
Quickly, because people keep misconstruing what I'm saying. I'm saying relative to their status, they are stars. That is what I'm saying. Relative to their status. If you don't know what that means, Top Dog Boxing, then maybe read a book some more. You know, like, I don't know what it is.
Just explain.
It's a really simple thing. I've said it numerous times as well, so don't mischaracterize what I'm fucking saying in the chat. That shit annoys me more than anything, especially when I've stated it numerous times. Relative to their status in the division, they are stars. If you don't think that's true, then you also should probably, I don't know, do more reading. You know? I don't know. Get more educating. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Fuck. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, to think that these guys aren't stars to the relative position is just asininely stupid.
Some people here might not be hardcores. Just explain.
No. If you listen to this show and your name's Top Dog Boxing on YouTube, you're a hardcore. You watch a lot of boxing. You may be a fanboy, but you're a hardcore. Moving on, because Gary's not going to bite as much as I want him to about the whole Tanajara being a duck. Because he's agreeing with me the whole time, guys. Like, he just made points that I've made that Tanajara doesn't want the hard work. Thank you for agreeing with me, Gary. I'm glad we can agree with that. Speaking of someone that hopefully is going to take this fight and wants that hard work, Mario Barrios and Batar Akhmedov rematch ordered by the WBA. Gonna be curious to see if Barrios takes it. Akhmedov has already said that he's going to take it, obviously. Now, I think that this fight probably should get made, but usually speaking, these are the type of rematches that don't get made, right, guys? Like, when guys are in that like prospect contender fringe status and they have a tough fight, they rarely go and rematch that guy again. Right? Like you get the Kell Brook Carson Jones, sequels every once in a while, but Usually you don't. So if they do rematch, props to both men. Props to Mario Barrios for taking the rematch. Because he doesn't have to. You could just leave this regular belt and go to another sanctioned body's ranking. It won't be an issue. But, oof, man, this is a tough fight for fucking Barrios, man. Akhmedov gave him work, arguably beat him. I thought he beat him. And I'm curious to see if Barrios can make the adjustments, can have the success they had in the earlier part of the fight more throughout the full 12 rounds, because he clearly lost steam and got lucky when he got that flash knockdown in the 12th round to give him that 10-8 round. He just, I don't know if it's a game plan issue per se. I thought he had a good game plan, but maybe just Akhmedov is that guy. You know, similar to like a Julio Cesar Martinez and Charlie Edwards matchup. Like, Edwards is really talented, right? But maybe that style matchup is just always going to go bad for Charlie Edwards. I think this is maybe one of those matchups, because the way Akhmedov put it on Barrios, I think in the rematch you're going to see far more of that than the first fight. Rob, Gary, who wants to jump in?
I think you are going to get the rematch, because I think, and we all laugh at the WBA regular, Barrios has been on every local news channel in San Antonio as San Antonio's new world champion. I don't think he's just going to give that belt up. I know we laugh at the WBA regular, but he's being treated like a world champion over in San Antonio. I don't like when you go on every single local news show in San Antonio, your city, as the new champion, and then they say, "What happened to your belt?" "Oh, I gave it away."
Didn't they ask him what happened to his face?
Shouldn't they ask him why is this not the real belt? That's more.
Do you think the casual fan knows the difference?
They're not casual fans. They're a journalistic outlet. Sorry. Even though I know every media outlet most likely doesn't have a combat sports guy on deck that to sort of copy edit things, a la like ESPN does. But it's still a journalistic fucking outlet. That's a news outlet. Yeah, if you're out there saying that someone's a champion that isn't, I'm gonna make fun of you.
He is a champion. You may like when they talk about Triple G.
Gary, please stop. Gary, please stop. Don't. I know you want to go on this rant about it's a belt. Fuck out of here. Gary, I'll be honest with you. If you're about to go on this rant, I'm just gonna mute you. I can turn off your audio. No, Gary. I'm not gonna have anyone on my show suck up to sanctioning bodies, and that's what that is.
Who's sucking up?
To give any credence, the WBA regular belt is sucking up to sanctioned bodies. I will not have it on this platform.
Okay, that's fine. But Matt, I have a question. When they count Triple G's title reign, most of that was WBA regular, was it not? But hold
on. No. When you say they, be very fucking clear with who you're talking about. The networks that have promoted him, when they have done that, yes, and that is atrocious. Okay. And I have been adamant every time HBO used to do it, every time DAZN does it. DAZN had the fucking audacity when they first signed Triple G to say that he's the longest reigning champion in boxing history. Okay? So, no, that's not right when they do it either, Gary.
Okay.
And it's a shame that networks and promoters give credence to bullshit sanctioning body shit like that. And that's why I will not have anyone on this platform do that. Okay? Because we're better than them. And if you don't try to be better than them, then guess what? We're just like these other networks and promoters that are just a basic publicist.
I'll put Barrios, not a real world champion.
Not a champion, period. It's like the NABF. Like, that doesn't matter.
He's just a regular guy.
Yep. It's like the WBC silver. It's the WBO Intercontinental. None of those shit matter. Stop.
Is it better? Is it better than the gold? It's gold anyway, right? It's like still red with gold, right?
The WBA gold is new. That is for sure. I don't know where that ranks in the list of bullshit.
The WBA calls we call it the regular. They just call it the world champion, and they have the super world champion. So, like, his title is WBA world champion. Now, it's a bogus title, right? The title is bogus.
If there's one more desirable than that one.
What if he's the world champion?
Jamal Charlo is the WBC champion. No, Not going to have it on this platform. Moving on. You got any thoughts about the actual fight other than sucking up sanctioning bodies, Gary?
He's not sucking up. He's not sucking up, Matt.
Well, no. He was about to go and explain that, it's a belt, and I don't want to hear that because I'm not a dumb guy, Gary. Like, I'm not going to have you have that line of narrative to, like, validate Mario Barrios' existence in this division. No.
Matt. Gary's point was trying to get to the fact you asked, is this fight going to happen? They've ordered it. Will it happen, though? And he's trying to say they're touting him around the place as a world champion. He's feeling all special about it.
I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that. I've made it very clear. I'm not disputing that aspect. But when Gary is about to say, it matters to fight. No, we're not going to have that. It's a bullshit belt. Always make that the very first thing we mention when we talk about these bullshit belts.
But you just added that yourself, that Gary was about to say that.
He was. Gary, were you not about to make the argument that, because Triple G's title reign has been vindicated because of the WBA regular belt, like, this thing now matters? That was going to be your argument, basically.
I wasn't going to say it mattered. I'm saying it depends on who you talk to, whether or not he's a champion. It's like...
Look, it doesn't matter who you talk to. He is not a champion.
I agree with that.
Period.
I've said that.
And if you're talking to anyone and they say he is a champion, tell them they are fucking stupid. Okay? And if they're not stupid, then they're just obviously a corporate sanctioning body bootlicker. And I have no time for those people. They're worse than fanboys of fighters, in my opinion. Because at least fanboys of fighters rally around a fighter and support a fighter, a prize fighter, right? Like, those are always the people that we should look after the most in the sport because they get damaged the most. If you're a fucking wanking off a sanctioning body, you are the worst scum in this community. The worst.
What's worse, wanking off a sanctioning body or a promoter?
Sanctioning body. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Because you know what? I'll say this. This might be shocking. I think promoters are more likely to make big fights than the sanctioning bodies. And that's the sanctioning body's fucking job. Right? That's their essence, is to make big fights and to order big fights, and they never do it.
And if that's not worth a wank, I don't know what is. But
Barrios is definitely going to lose to Akhmedov. Just want to make that point very clear before we move on.
Yeah. I agree. I think so. But I hope this goes to a purse bid and Eddie puts this on a matchroom card. That'd be good.
I think Barrios needs to make adjustments in his camp. I think he has the ability to outbox him from range, but I think he needs to make changes, and I wish he could take a fight in between. But if they're going to order this, I think he's going to take it, and they're going to have to make adjustments. And if he wins, I don't know.
Why does he need to make adjustments when he clearly beat him, Kevin?
Because he lost. Because he lost.
Oh, because he lost.
He lost a lot of rounds. I'm again. Matt says I'm the biggest Barrios fan, but yes, I'm a fan of Barrios. Yeah. Yes, I'm not sitting here saying that he's going to be Prograis, he's going to be Taylor. I'm not saying that.
But you did at one point say that he could give these guys like all a bunch of work, right?
I never said he'd be Prograis.
I didn't just say beat, but I want to say that Rob. I know you pointed to your phone. I think.
I'm just going through it. No, I'm trying to find Gary. The whole argument where you kick Gary out of the chat.
But that wasn't about this, I think, was it?
Yeah.
No, it was about the scoring of the fight.
Yeah, it was about the
well,
scoring
it
of
was
the fight.
this.
Yeah.
It was me sending this topic.
Preface it with the Longhorns are getting their tail kicked by Oklahoma as this conversation is going on.
So Gary's heated.
Also the Jets are kicking your ass, right?
Yo, why you make Gary cry on the show, man? Bringing up all these Texas fighters and teams losing.
I haven't sent it yet, but I did screenshot the Jets are beating the Cowboys, right?
Anyways, guys.
Which is the worst team in the league. Like, at least Oklahoma's a top 5 team. The Jets are the worst team in the NFL.
Moving on. Any last thoughts on Barrios Akhmedov? We have one more topic to get to. Okay.
No great fight. Great rematch. Looking forward to it. Wherever it lands. Yeah, even if it's on PBC or something like that.
Why do you think it's going to be with Eddie? Is Akhmedov?
I said because Pugmire said they've got 30 days to reach a deal, otherwise a purse bid.
Oh, I was like, is Akhmedov an Eddie guy? Because Eddie has a lot of Eastern Europeans now. I was wondering.
Yeah.
But no, you mean purse bid. Okay, just wondering where
I
that
wanted
angle
to ask that. Does this headline a card, do you think? Does Barrios
I
Akhmedov?
think it could do now.
FS1 card, obviously, right, is what we're talking about. Or a Showtime. No, I don't even want to. Here's the thing.
He said Showtime.
Here's the thing. Showtime has now, like, World Championship Showtime Boxing has now been regulated to Erickson Lubin style main events. So
Which have got a championship. At least this would have a world championship.
no, but get out, Rob. Get out. Leave right now. You are fired.
Oh no, I got the you're fired.
But I could definitely see in this new era of Showtime air quotes World Championship Boxing a Mario Barrios Akhmedov main event on a Saturday night. Absolutely. I do think FS1's a more likely place because he has fought on FS1 quite a bit, I want to say. That's been sort of his go-to channel more so than anything has been either Showtime or FS1. This to me is a great FS1 main event. You know, that's where it belongs.
What was it on? What was it Spence Porter card?
Yes, Spence Porter.
Yeah.
It was the undercard of that. So it could be obviously a good undercard for pay-per-view as well. I'll be okay with that again.
Did any more reporting come out on what happened to Barrios' face? Because something looked broken. He wasn't allowed to fly home straight away. He had to stay in.
I'll be honest, I've not seen anything, but
I haven't.
That's probably due just to his stature as a fighter. Like he's not going to get Coppinger and Idek really making sure and double checking what his status is, unlike, let's say, Earl Spence, who had a car crash. And everyone in the community is double and triple checking with every source they have what's his condition. You know what I mean? I would assume it's not anything significant because he, like Gary said, he's been active on sort of the media circuit in San Antonio or the Texas area, right? So I would assume he's fine, relatively speaking. Moving on, last topic of the day, per Croatian news outlet RTL, so take that for what it is. Filip Hrgović is fighting Eric Molina on the undercard of Ruiz Joshua 2. I like this fight. It's a decent heavyweight clash, and it should be a good sort of card filler for this event.
I think it's over pretty quickly. I can see this being similar to when Joshua fought Molina.
It's a 4 to 6 rounder, actually, in my opinion. Hrgović sometimes starts slow. He's not a slow starter, I would say, but sometimes he does start slow.
Yeah, maybe, but I can see this being 2, 3, maybe. When did Molina last have a fight? I can't even think. No idea.
No idea.
I know he can't fight here because he's got a UCAD thing over him, but I don't know what happened there. I'm not quite sure. But yeah.
Gary, thoughts?
On Eric Molina?
No, Hrgović Molina.
Yeah, no thoughts at all.
Awesome. That'll be it for today, guys. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. And also, when you hit subscribe, hit that notification bell. Only like 20% of you that are subscribed actually have the notification bell turned on. So go do that. And 35% of you that are watching right now aren't even subscribed. So go do that right now as well. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. You can find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Rob, final thoughts, and let people know where to find you.
Final thoughts. Yeah, what have we got next week? We got some good stuff coming up next week. Oh, Bad Blood over here in the UK.
Vajdik Better Beef, man.
Oh yeah.
Vajdik Better Beef is this weekend, man. Coming up. I'm excited.
I forgot the number 2 and number 3 light heavyweight in the world.
I will slap you, silly. I will slap you, silly. Stop that.
But obviously we've got Ritson and Robbie Davis Jr. over here. That's gonna be a fun card. So guys over in the States, check that out early, I guess, on the Zone, and then you're going to be over onto ESPN, right, for the Beterbiev and Vajdik. But yeah, I think from now on in, it's looking like some good cards and some big fights and stuff coming your way. So I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of news coming out soon. Oh, by the way, just quickly, I don't know, did you report on it, Matt? Eubank Jr. Korobov? Yeah, you did. Yeah. All right, okay. But yeah, UK Rob MCR, Instagram and Twitter. Over to Gary, who we've got to get credentialed because I'm sure Gary can get a whole bunch of no context Hearn quotes out of Eddie, because Eddie could be rattled. Gary going on at him.
Before Gary jumps in, I am really saddened to hear that the no context accounts are beefing and that no context Hearn blocked no context Aram. Come on, guys. Get along. Let's be friends here, okay? The no context community is a thriving one. Support it. Support each other. Gary, back to you.
I'm glad to hear about the Barrios rematch. I'm disappointed about Tanajara. But I guess that's life. Just like the Texas Longhorns. It happens.
Where can they find you, Gary?
You can find me all forms of social media at 3D, the number 3D boxing.
All right, guys. You have a great day, great night, great evening, wherever you are, and stay safe out there. Peace.